One of the biggest questions floating around the Hackintosh community is, can you restore from a time machine backup? My simple answer to you is yes, you can, but it's not as simple as Apple intended it, that can be said with pretty much everything in the Hackintosh community, is that it's not as simple as Apple intended it, but it will work. And so for this, you're going to need a bootloader, and you're also going to need a drive for your time machine backup. And I'll show you guys, just if you're new to Mac, if you just have a Hackintosh, like if you follow my series, which by the way you can watch right here, if you just happen to stumble across this video, I have about a good, I'd say, hour and a half worth of footage from start to finish of building a Hackintosh, involving picking out your hardware, installing OS X, dual booting with Windows. Everything you guys pretty much need to know is contained within that series. So if you just stumbled across this video and you want a Hackintosh, you're sort of on the fence thinking about it, then I highly recommend you check out my video series. But getting back to this video, like I was saying, you're going to need a bootloader of your choice. If you'll know all about this if you watch my series. Just one that'll boot you into OS X, no problems. I recommend Chimera. Yes, I said Chimera, not Chimera. Viewers of my series will probably be relieved there. And as I've stated, you're going to need a backup drive. And this can be an internal drive. If you just have like a 2 terabyte internal drive you want to have a time machine on, you definitely can do that. It's a personal preference that I just have an external USB drive, one I can take to other Macs or other machines, or just things like that. So before I ramble anymore, let's just go ahead and jump right into the tutorial. So here we are at my desktop, and as you can see over here, I have a time machine partition. These are actually both on the same external hard drive, which is 2 terabytes, but as you can see here, I've given this 1.7 terabytes. Now, if you're new to OS X and you just plug in a hard drive and you want to set up time machine, then simply go into System Preferences here, and there's a time machine option located right now. And you can simply click that, select the disk that you want. Like I said, you can select one of your internal drives, make sure it's formatted properly, and you're all set. I believe it just has to be a standard HFS partition, so no big deal there, but as you can see, I'm using Time Machine. And you can also go to Options and select which drives to exclude. So whenever you plug in a time machine, OS X automatically assumes that you want to back up all your drives. Now I will say that it will not do NTFS drives. This Untitled drive is my Windows drive, and it will not back that up. At least I don't think it will, but either way I chose to exclude it. Obviously I'm not going to make a backup of my time machine drive, that'd be kind of pointless. So as you can see, that option is actually grayed out. And if I wanted to, I could just make a backup of my external, which like I said is the other partition on this 2 terabyte drive, but I'm not going to. So every other drive you guys see here, I am backing up with Time Machine. That provides me with a lot of backed up stuff that it's a big ease of mind, if you will. So there's 2 ways to use Time Machine. Number 1, you could just back up individual files, so I can enter Time Machine. And it comes out like this, and it'll go back in time. I'll click a little arrow here, and it'll find the last time there was a file on my desktop. And as you can see right here, it's a dude who decided to bring his 27-inch iMac to Starbucks. I just thought that was pretty hilarious. So say that, as you guys saw, that was not on my desktop, so if I wanted to restore it, I simply right click it, restore. And now that that's done its nice animation, I can say desktop or wherever I want to restore it to. And there it is. So I'm sure you guys have all seen that before, but if not, there you go. Now that's nice and everything, but that's not what we're going to be talking about in this video. The other use for Time Machine is restoring from it. So say on my Hackintosh here, I installed a kex that didn't play very nicely, and now I don't have something. Like say for example, I don't have display and I can't figure out how to get it back, or something goes wrong, or I just want a clean start. I want to just wipe off some drive space and restore it to an earlier point in time. That's where you'd want to use Time Machine. Now I'm going to show you guys how to do that right now. So what I'll do real quick, so we're going to note the time here, it's around 6:30, 6:40-ish. I'm going to hit backup now. And for a more detailed screen, you can see how much it's going to back up. So once that's done, you can see finishing backup, just cleaning up. So as you see, the latest backup was today at 6:38. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and bust out that bootloader, and we're going to restart. Alright, so once you have your bootloader and your Time Machine backup drive plugged into your computer, you simply just want to restart. And once you're at your devices menu, this is where you want to boot from whatever bootloader that you use to get into OS X, whether it's Chimera or whether it's some DVD of some sort, Chameleon, whatever it is. Simply boot from it, and that will get you to the Unibeast menu, as we see right here. Now I'm simply going to boot into the Unibeast partition. This process may be different if you're using a different bootloader, but however you have to, just boot from your bootloader into an OS X installation. And here we are at the Mac OS X installation menu. So we're going to click forward through the installation. Now this is where it's a little bit different just from regularly installing OS X. We're going to click continue. Now what you want to do instead is come up here to utilities, and like you would think, come to restore system from backup. And here we are at the next screen. Now we're going to click continue. Select the Time Machine drive. If you have more plugged in, then you're free to choose one of those. And upon clicking continue, you can see that we're greeted with all the different backups. As you can see, I have quite a few, dating back to December 27th. So remember that time, that's 6:38. This is the most recent backups. Now if I restore to this is going to be the last time that drive had a backup. So this will basically be like nothing ever happened. However, if you installed something, say around this time, you're going to want to go back to this one. So like I said, if you install something that made your system not work, maybe it won't boot, maybe you just won't have a display, something you just really don't know how to fix, this is probably the easiest way to just say, you know what, I'll go back 38 minutes sooner before I ever did that, and you'll be back right to where you were. However, since nothing was wrong with my system, I'm going to go back to this one, and I'm simply going to come down and click continue. Now here you can select where to actually install this to. Now remember I said I was backing up multiple hard drives. Not all your hard drives will be restored, only the one that you select. So for example, I'll select Macintosh SSD. It's not going to restore Snow Leopard. This is my Untitled Windows partition, which I excluded, but however it is media, video, I included all these in my backup. However, if I just select Macintosh SSD, it's only going to restore this drive. It won't touch these. You can manually restore these later once you're into the OS, but just for my sake here, and probably yours too, it's going to be a lot faster if it just does the main boot drive. So that's what we're going to do, and like I said, that's where it defaults to. I'm not sure if there's any other way where you can just have it restore everything, but this is by far the most efficient way. So once your boot drive is highlighted, you simply just want to restore. And there's just that little warning saying that it's going to erase everything. That's perfectly fine. I'm going to go ahead and click continue. And depending on how much you have to back up, this will take some time. So once the restore finishes, it should automatically just reboot your system, and you're going to be like, oh great, this is awesome, my system is finally restored, and you'll see something like this. This is what happens when you don't have a bootloader, so that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to use our UniBeast or whatever bootloader you have. We're going to boot back into OS X using that, and from there we're going to reinstall our bootloader to the hard drive, letting us boot back into OS X. And once again, we're going to boot up, go into our boot options, and boot from our flash drive. Boot menu, we meet again. Sorry, I'll never do that ever again as I boot from the flash drive here. And once again, here we are at the Chimera, aka Chimera, if you're going my style, boot menu. Your bootloader will work in similar ways as stated before, and we're just going to boot into our OS X partition. Okay, and here we are right back at your login screen. If you had a password set, then it will be the same as it was. And here we go. It's like I never left. Everything should be exactly the way I have it. Now, of course, for security purposes, you're going to have to re-input things like your mail passwords. You may have to reset some of your website passwords, but from my experience, things like website passwords are saved very well. Even in Firefox and Safari, I've really had no problems with things being saved. But I'm just going to go ahead and close out of all this stuff. I'll do all this later. But what we're really concerned about is installing Chimera, aka Chimera. So we're going to go ahead and do that real quick. And of course when I say, you know, Chimera, whatever, it's whatever bootloader works for your system. So it's not necessarily this. That's the thing about Hackintosh, is I really can't do a video that covers everything because every single system is different. So whatever works for your system, you want to reinstall that bootloader. And now once you install this bootloader, you'll be able to boot right back up just like you did before. So there you guys have it. That's all it takes to restore from a Time Machine backup on a Hackintosh. It's a fairly easy process. The only curveball in there was that little step of installing the bootloader to your hard drive. But if you've been following my series, like I said, you can watch that by clicking the annotation at the beginning of this video. Then you've already had that bootloader created and you're good to go. If not, then there's many places where you could find out what bootloader will work for your system. So just do a little bit of research, and this really is no big deal. And also I want to say that for the rest of this series, for the foreseeable future, it's going to be videos just like this for a little tip. So if you guys have something that you want to see, definitely get in contact with me. Don't be afraid. I'm at CPUKid on Twitter. You could email me. My email is on my channel page. Go ahead and check that out. You can comment on this video. I do read every single comment that I get. I have it sent to my email, and I see every single comment. So if I feel that enough people are asking the same question, then I'll make a video just like this as a part of this series. So I hope this video helped you guys, and before I ramble anymore, thanks for watching.